The tennis world was still buzzing from Wimbledon. A 21-year-old from the Philippines had just conquered center court, dethroned the defending champion, and climbed to world number 28. She had become the first Filipino to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. She had inspired a nation of 110 million people. But Alex Eala wasn't finished surprising the world. While most athletes would be focused solely on their sport, Eala was quietly building something else. Something that would cement her legacy far beyond the tennis court. She was launching her own business, and she was doing it in a way that stunned even the biggest names in the sport. The announcement came with little warning. A grand opening in Manila, a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and then the crowd parted to reveal something no one expected. Adidas executives showed up. Not just local representatives, not just brand ambassadors. The top brass from the global sportswear giant flew in for the occasion. The company that has outfitted legends like Lionel Messi, Muhammad Ali, and Serena Williams had come to celebrate a 21-year-old from Quezon City. The tennis world was left speechless, not just because of the business launch, but because of what it represented. A young woman who had already conquered the tennis world was now building an empire. Welcome to RallyVerse. The grand opening was held at a venue in Manila, filled with media, fans, and dignitaries. Philippine flags adorned the walls. The crowd was electric with anticipation. And at the center of it all stood Alex Eala, beaming with pride and determination. The business itself was a reflection of her journey. Eala had been building her brand for years. From her early partnership with Globe Telecom at just 8 years old, to becoming an ambassador for BPI and Locally Juice, she had carefully cultivated a portfolio that reflected both her Filipino roots and her growing international stature. But this was different. This wasn't a sponsorship deal or an endorsement partnership. This was her own venture, her own vision, her own legacy. The details of the business have been kept under wraps, but sources suggest it is a venture designed to support young Filipino athletes. It's a natural extension of everything Eala has stood for, using her platform to uplift the next generation. And it was the presence of Adidas executives that truly stunned the tennis world. The sportswear giant, which has a history of supporting athletes who embody the impossible is nothing spirit, had taken notice of Eala's impact. Her growing influence in Asia, her passionate fan base, and her unprecedented success as a representative of a developing tennis nation had made her one of the most marketable athletes in the world. For the Adidas executives to fly to Manila for the grand opening was a testament to Eala's rising global stature. It was a sign that the tennis world was no longer the only world watching. To understand why Eala's business venture is so significant, you have to understand the journey that led to this moment. She was born in 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines, a nation of 110 million people that had never produced a Grand Slam singles champion. At just 13 years old, she left her family to train at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain on a scholarship that had to be supplemented by private funding. But even in those early days, Eala was building her brand. At just 8 years old, she was signed as an ambassador by Globe Telecom. It was an early sign of the cross-market appeal that would later make her one of the most sought-after athletes in the world. Her genuine endorsement roster eventually grew to include Babolat, which supplies her Pure Aero 2023 racket, and Nike, which outfits her on court. She was also tapped by Bank of the Philippine Islands to promote discipline and financial literacy, and by Locally Juice to champion the Filipino youth. In 2026, she was launched as the newest ambassador for Milo, the iconic chocolate drink brand that has nurtured generations of Filipino athletes. The partnership highlighted her grit, discipline, and determination, qualities that had made her the first Filipina to break into the WTA Top 50. But Eala's vision extended beyond endorsements. She was carefully building a personal brand that would outlast her tennis career. The presence of Adidas executives at Eala's grand opening was the ultimate validation. Adidas is one of the world's largest sportswear companies, with a presence in over 160 countries and a reputation for supporting athletes who push the boundaries of their sport. The company has a long history of backing tennis talent, and its executives don't fly to grand openings for just anyone. For them to make the trip to Manila signaled that Eala was not just a tennis player. She was a global icon in the making. The company's commitment to the impossible is nothing brand campaign perfectly aligned with Eala's story. She had overcome every obstacle to achieve the impossible, and now she was building something beyond the sport. The Adidas executives reportedly spent time with Eala after the ceremony, discussing potential collaborations and future partnerships. The tennis world was stunned. A 21-year-old from the Philippines was sitting at the table with one of the most powerful companies in sports. The grand opening was more than just a business launch. It was a statement. Eala had already proven that she could win on the biggest stages in tennis. She had beaten Grand Slam champions. She had climbed to world number 28. She had inspired a nation. But her business venture signaled something else, a determination to build a legacy that extended far beyond the sport. "I want to be remembered as someone who made a difference," she had said at Malacanang Palace. Someone who fought for what was right. Someone who used her platform to make the sport better for everyone. The business was a reflection of that commitment. It was about giving back to the community that had supported her. It was about creating opportunities for the next generation of Filipino athletes. It was about proving that champions are not just defined by their victories, but by the people they inspire along the way. The presence of Adidas executives was proof that the world had taken notice. The grand opening was just the beginning. Eala's business venture is expected to grow significantly in the coming years, with plans for expansion and new initiatives to support young Filipino athletes. But the business wasn't distracting Eala from her ultimate goal, winning a Grand Slam. Her upcoming schedule remains packed. The Wimbledon, D.C. Open in Washington, the National Bank Open in Toronto, the Cincinnati Open, and finally, the U.S. Open, where her world number 28 ranking will see her seated for the first time. The business venture is a complement to her tennis career, not a replacement. It's a way of building a legacy that will outlast her time on the court. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to world number 28. From a 13-year-old girl alone in Spain to a global icon with her own business. From being told she couldn't do it to standing on the brink of Grand Slam glory. Alex Eala has defied every expectation. And now, she is building an empire. Laban lang. Always. And remember, on RallyVerse, we bring you the stories that define the sport, the drama, the business, the moments that change everything. Stay tuned for more.